Now, do pet names drive you crazy? According to a new survey, most women can't stand being called bird, chick or babe. We were having a bit of fun with this yesterday and lots of you have been in touch with your views. So we're going to bring you some of those in a second. But first, we went onto the streets of the capital to ask women which phrases they'd like to be added to the banned list.
Don't call me baby. You got some nerve, baby, that'll never do. You know I don't belong to you. It's time you knew I'm not your baby. I belong to me, so don't call me baby.
This is a loaded handgun. And what we're going to do now is kill ourselves because this is horrible.
Couldn't we just stop philatering?
Too late.
So are pet names offensive or are we taking them too seriously? Joining me to discuss this are the author Peter Lloyd and comedian Kate Smurthwaite. Kate Smurthwaite, what really winds you up about pet names?
Well, it's not any particular name that bothers me. What it is the context in which it's used, isn't it? It's absolutely fine if you're, really good friends with somebody and they have a nickname for you and you like it and they know you like it. Great, fantastic. But the difficulty comes when you're trying to have a business meeting and somebody says, oh, hello, Martin. Hello, Simon. Hello, sweetie. And you just can't help thinking, I'm not the one that's getting promotion at this meeting. It's just about kind of being taken seriously. And I know that if somebody said to you, if I came on air and you called me Kathy and I said, oh, actually, I prefer Kate, of course, you'd just call me Kate. You'd call me whatever I asked to be called. And I think it's amazing that we live in a world where we know that women, because our survey shows it and your people you've met on the street show it, women don't like being referred to by these terms generally. So, is it really too much to ask that either don't do it or just ask first? Is it all right if I call you this? Do you mind if I call you this? It's just a bit of a habit of mine, and some women don't mind. Give those that do a chance to say what they'd rather be referred to as.
Well, we've been doing just that. Let's have a listen to what Danielle has had to say. She's sent in this video explaining why she dislikes one pet name in particular.
As a trans woman, I'm used to being called all kinds of things. Hun, love, dude, but nothing, not even sir, gets under my skin quite like my dear. Deliberate misgendering can be frustrating, but it's rarely from malice, at least not from people who matter. It's usually just a misunderstanding or some confusion. My dear, however, well, that's condescending and demeaning. It's dripping with passive aggression and stinks of self-superiority. Frankly, my dear, don't ever refer to me as your dear.
Carla, meanwhile, hates some phrases but loves others. Had two examples there, Peter. My dear, sweet cheeks. I mean, is it sexist? Is it demeaning to women? And if so, why does it continue?
Well, I think it's really sad that the free market and mainstream culture is entertaining this outrage culture, which it seems so pervasive at the moment. I mean, it's already taken over universities, and now it seems to be bleeding into advertising and marketing. I mean, this research was undertaken by Kellogg's. We know for a fact that banning words doesn't work, policing language doesn't work. It didn't work for Sheryl Sandberg when she wanted to ban the word bossy. It's not going to work now, and nor should it. It's Orwellian. It's like something from 1984. People just need to toughen up.
You brought up the word bossy there, Peter. I mean, that is often used for little girls, isn't it? And that's a sign of how early this starts.
Yeah, but used in many different ways and against boys as well. I mean, I noticed that this research didn't look at all at the language that men don't feel comfortable with, and at no point did it hold any women accountable for the language that they choose to use. So if we're really going to have this debate about whether language has power, and it does, then we need to do it equally. But let's be realistic. Language has power, but it's limited power.
Let's bring in Kate Smurthwaite again on that. Should we, to use another phrase that women have said is deeply offensive to them, just man up and let it wash over us, Kate?
Well, I think Peter's kind of completely missing the point. Nobody is saying that words need to be banned, and interesting, he says, why are people so outraged? And yet not one of the people you interviewed was screaming or was outraged. They were just saying, this is how I'd rather be addressed. I don't really like this. And I think, I think it's not a particularly shocking thing to say, this is the term I'd prefer. And I think, once people have made it clear what language they prefer, and it's pretty clear from this survey that women would prefer not, especially in the workplace, not to be called babe and sweetie and love and those kind of terms. I think it's just not a big ask to say, hey, well, if you've said, I don't want to be addressed that way, let's just not do it. In the same way that if somebody corrects you that they prefer to be called, Mr. or they prefer to be called Ms. or Mrs. or Miss, just do what they've asked, because that's just polite and civilised. And I don't think anyone is calling for words to be banned. But if I say, oh, actually, my name's not Kathy, it's Kate, and you continue to call me Kathy for days and weeks and months, I just think, well, you're a bit unpleasant, don't I? I think that's really rude. And why would you keep doing that? And in actual fact, why are you doing that when you know it's going to annoy me? So I think it's not a big ask. What amazes me is that there's a pushback. Is people going, well, it's my free speech, and I can say, well, it is your free speech. Say what you like. But by the same token, I think women should be absolutely free to say, I don't like that term, and in fact, I might not answer to it.
Well, I agree, Kate. I agree with much of what you're saying, and I think women should absolutely be allowed to kind of, modify the language that's used to describe them if they're not comfortable with that. But that applies to everybody. And because it's such a minor issue, it can just be done with a bit of humour on a case-by-case basis. It doesn't need to be a big issue.
But I wonder, Peter Lloyd, some
point.
of the phrases that we're talking about could be described as being affectionate or humorous, for example. But there are others when you talk about women being ball breakers, and when you talk about ambitious women with negative connotations that aren't necessarily applied to men, that we're talking in a little bit more serious territory here.
Well, what I think is very interesting is that frequently it's women who use these terms to describe other women. So are we saying that we should be only policing the language that women use, or is it only a problem when men use it? And if that's the case, then why? Why is it only a problem when men use it?
Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. We are here at Bill Clinton's rally in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, we went and we had RSVP'd in advance on the website for press to be admitted into this event, and the PR people organizing this are not allowing us entrance. They said it doesn't matter that on my phone I can show in my email that we RSVP'd. So let's look at this. If you can see this, shows we are RSVP'd, and the lady is not allowing us entrance, and she said it's above my pay grade to, credential people on site, and that they were told that they're not allowed to let anybody in that's not on their list that they have of allowed media that's allowed to come and cover Bill Clinton's speech.
Do you guys have the RSVP from the HQ? Yeah, we're not producing any press on site.
It says we are RSVP'd right here, so are we at least allowed to go in?
You're allowed to go in. You can over the camera.
We're press. We are credentialed press.
You didn't RSVP for this event?
We did RSVP.
Her opponent is the very embodiment of the old boys club, a walking example of demeaning and patronizing views towards women that we must banish to the dustbins of history.
Donald, lift the voices of concerns for progression. This isn't inside the press credentialed area.
You cannot be here. Do you see anybody standing here right now?
Every individual I encounter.
It's on my face.
Don't touch my camera. Don't touch our
Maker versus court.
You cannot be on this.
I voted in this. How about you get out of my
You can get back there. You can't be here.
How about you get out of my face? You are my face.
You can't be right here. This is
you
not
join
for
me?
non-credentialed press.
This is the credentialed press area over here, not where we're
cannot
standing.
be right here.
We're in the audience, sir.
No one's standing right here.
What about this woman?
Yeah, what about her?
Okay, we'll go back there.
We'll stand right here.
Will you commit to making
We're
You
fine.
guys want to credential, you can credential. You
We did we RSVP'd online, and you guys didn't permit us in. You don't know. I have the email in my email to prove it. Okay.
Okay, please.
First, find an organizer. They're in the crowd. They have on a little white sticker that says Ohio staff. We need you to come knock doors with us. We need to make sure that every Democrat is voting and voting down
That's not for
tickets.
press. It's for a person.
That's the only RSVP available, and it's worked at 4 other events.
We do events every single day.
So do we.
Several of your events.
Exactly, but you can't stand up here.
That's 4,
That's all.
7, 2, 4, 6.
Thank you.
You will receive a friendly text message.
up here?
Yeah.
Posted
What's
on
wrong?
events.
They don't want us to cover the event.
I know,
you're InfoWars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't want us to stand here.
No one's standing right here, okay?
Yeah. Everybody else is standing right here. We're fine where we're
No
at.
one's standing up here.
On the top level.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay. Yeah. Uh huh.
you. So
Already
if you can go
with
down
our
to the next level, that'd be fine.
I speak
Okay. Yeah. If you can get out of my
I'm not
face,
in your face.
I
I'm
can
not in your
maneuver
face at all.
myself
I'm
too.
not in your face.
You are in my face,
No,
and your
I'm not
hand
in your
is.
face at
do
all.
that effort and do
Okay.
even more because
All right,
we
awesome.
need to win
Thank you
Hamilton
for
County.
complying.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
No one should wake up on November 9th asking what more could we have done if we do all that we can.
You missed it, man. You missed it. You missed that one shot.
So it looks like they have the police over here now.
Thankfully, I caught myself. So, you
Hi.
guys know that, stay back here?
We stand back.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, did you know that?
You know we have First Amendment rights.
Absolutely. I'm just asking if you knew that.
Yeah, we weren't trying to. The man came up to me and he actually put his hand on our equipment without consent and was sticking his hand in my face.
Okay. Well, I just appreciate your cooperation. Enjoy the time here.
Trying to.
Well, I don't know. I don't make that rule.
We were just talking earlier about marriage and who recently has got married, and actually I think marriage is actually, the statistics of marriage have halved, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think marriage is irrelevant? Is this why why aren't men getting married?
Well, the bottom line is it's a raw deal. For men, it's a really raw deal. The benefits are heavily outweighed by the dangers and the risks. If you're a man and you divorce, the outcome usually favours women massively. You can end up losing your home, half of your pension, half of your wealth. You can end up not seeing your children. And studies have shown that men are more adversely mentally affected by divorce than women. So, and there's also a lot less support network in place.
You also say that if a woman gets pregnant for a career choice, and I think that you have used the words that women do get pregnant for career choices, that's what they want to do, that if you were the guy and that you didn't approve or you didn't okay that pregnancy, then you, and you use a term I didn't like it actually when I read it. It was just like financial abortion, I think you say. Well, I didn't like that, but what that means is that you can say, right, okay, I had nothing to do with this, I didn't ask for it, you've surprised me with it, therefore I've got nothing to do with it, I won't support it.
Well, what I was really saying is I was mooting that as like a hypothetical point to illustrate the fact that when it comes to power, although the illusion is that men have all the power, actually when it comes to kind of personal relationships and relationships between the sexes, women have most of the power.
Well, that's true as well, but obviously babies are made by two people, so shouldn't men just use contraception?
Just man up. Well, unfortunately, women have the lion's share of contraceptive choices, and once a woman is pregnant, of course, the man has no say, and yet the consequences for his life are lifelong and huge. They have a huge impact.
That's true, but if he'd taken precautions in the first place, he wouldn't have a baby. So don't men have to just use their brains rather than what's in their pants?
Absolutely, and look, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of reckless men and plenty of responsible women out there. And of course, not all women get pregnant as a career choice. That was a sample of a study that I was quoting. But, there are instances, like look at Liz Jones at the Daily Mail. She famously stole the sperm from her husband's condom. She violated his choice about fatherhood, and that could have changed his life forever.